You know, how many people, is this their first time? How many people in the room? Thank you for coming. What took you so long? Two things I asked. Well, there's a few things that I want to talk about to start off tonight. First of all, everybody that wore your red, white, and blue, and everybody who wore your United States shirts, thank you. It is still, even though we saw how crazy it was last week at the debate, we saw how crazy things are. It's still the best country in the world. Amen. There's no matter doubt it. So, a little bit about we the people. We started this group 4 years ago when the rioting was going on in Kansas City. And the mayor told the police to stand down and let the people knock in doors and turn over statues and all this and that. And my friend called me up and he goes, "Chuck, you're the president of the gun club." And I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "You got a place to meet?" And I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "We need to get some people together." Now he was talking about a militia. He wanted to get a militia together. And I said, "Well, you know, I don't know that we should probably," but he was worried about another Ferguson happening. He was worried about these thugs coming out to suburbia. He was worried about a lot of things, and it's legitimate worries. It really is. So I said to my friend Tom, that's his name, Tom. I said to my friend, we'll start a group. I think that's a good idea. So we started this group. We didn't have a name. We just wanted to start a group. And the main objective of this group is to bring the truth.
Amen.
Yes.
The truth. Good, bad, or ugly. We just want the truth. And so, we started this group and we started going, okay, well, we need some speakers. We need some people that have their finger on the pulse. We need some people that understand what's going on in their field. And lo and behold, golly, we had lawyers, we had doctors, and we had the president of the Fraternal Order of Police. We've had some speakers here that were just phenomenal. And all they did was bring the truth. All they did was tell us what's going on in the real world. So we did not have to believe the media or even listen to the media on certain subjects because we knew the truth. So that's how we the people got started. Now I got to digress just for a second. And once we grew we the people to a certain number of people, we started a group within the group called We the Sheepdogs. We the Sheepdogs meets at 6 to 6:45 or 6:50, and then this one starts at 7. But when we started, in order to keep a separation, We the Sheepdogs is a group within the group. We the Sheepdogs is all about safety, alertness, security, paying attention to your surroundings, conceal and carry, home security, all these things. That's what We the Sheepdogs is all about. We don't tape it because not everybody, even if you're surfing, you don't necessarily want to get scared or anything like that. We try not to scare anybody. We just try to make them more educated and more alert in their surroundings. Saying that, there's an exit door back here. There's an exit door where you came in. And the reason I tell you that is because everybody needs to know their surroundings. The what ifs, why buts. And I tell people, when you go into a restaurant, men, take that Doc Holliday seat. Put your back up against the wall where you can see everything going on in front of you. And it's just important. It's important to pay attention. Know where your exits are. Know the what ifs and why buts. It's just important stuff. So I just wanted to educate you all that we do have a front door and a back door. We have, tell you a quick little story. I like quick little stories. Sometimes they're not that little. A year and a half, 2 years ago, we had a meeting here, and it wasn't a We the People meeting. It was a meeting that they wanted to have here because we had people in front, and it was more of a questions and answers. And the whole subject was about CRT and was about DEI. I mean, the whole subject was what's going on in our schools and how our children are getting educated and all that. Well, there was probably 150 people, probably this many people in this group that was here at that meeting. I was out directing traffic because we had people shooting trap that night. We had a league going on. So I was parking everybody in the field on the west side over here. And all of a sudden, 3 Jackson County Sheriff cars pull up. I walk up to them and I go, "What you guys doing?" He goes, "Well, we're here to protect this group tonight." And I said, "From what?" And he said, "Well, it's been reported that BLM is going to be here rioting tonight." And I'm going, "Man, I hope so." We would be on national news, and but I also told the sheriff, the policeman, the sheriff that was in the car, I said, "They're not gonna be here." He goes, "Well, it's been reported that they're coming here." I said, "They're not coming to a gun club." I guarantee you, they're not coming to a gun club. And he couldn't really show his true side. He chuckled a little bit. Yeah. Guess what? Those 3 police cars sat out here for 3 hours. There was a no-show going on. Oh, yeah. So I wanted to tell that quick little story because this is a safe place. We are at a gun club. There's a lot of people in the room that have their little security right there on them. I usually wear one. I forgot to put it on tonight coming up here, but Tom, I asked a year or so ago. I said, "How many people in the room are carrying?" And Tom says, "Chuck, I don't think I'd ask that if I were you." I said, "I don't care. Hey, how many people in the room are carrying right now?" 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I think we're okay. So you don't have to worry, okay? You don't have to worry. This is a secure place. A little bit about this club, Lake Loudouna Sportsman's Club, has been here since 1955.
Wow.
How many people in the room even knew that? How many people in the room that even knew we were here before we started doing We the People? I mean, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. We shoot trap out here. We shoot shotguns. Used to be a rifle pistol range. They closed us down about 15 years ago, but we're trying like crazy to get it open back up here in the next year. So we got 60 acres right here. It's a beautiful spot. It really is.
Is it only for residents? Or?
Pardon?
Is it only for residents?
No. This is we're sitting in the county. We're sitting in the county. We do have memberships. It's only $100 a year to be a member, but we do allow the public to come shoot on Wednesdays afternoon, evening, Friday afternoon, evening, Saturday afternoon from noon to 5, Sunday afternoon from noon to 5. You can come out and shoot trap, and you just got to pay for you bring your own gun, bring your own shells, but you got to pay for your 25 shots. But that's what the gun club is all about. But I got involved in it And I thought, you know what, this hall just was empty. We rented it once a year. The night before the Super Bowl, one of my friends, Pat May, used to rent it, and we have a boys' night and play cards and you know, just tell stories and all that kind of stuff, but got rented once a year.
Wow.
And you know me, I'm sitting on the board, you know, president, and I'm going, this could be an incredible rental hall. So we painted it, we put new drop ceiling, and we put TVs up, and now we're renting it at least once a month, if not twice a month. So it's become a revenue for the club, and on a Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, it only rents for $600. You're not gonna find a hall anywhere for that kind of money. But on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, it rents for $200. So it's a very inexpensive place to rent. That's my commercial for the club, sorry about that. I have to do it, I've got all these buyers in the room. You know, that's the salesman in me. We're gonna start tonight. Do you guys know what year it is? It's 2024.
Yeah.
It's a big political year. And in 2020, I used to have 10 or 12 or 15 people lined up on the wall, and each one of them got to say the same, almost the exact same thing for 3 or 4 minutes. And I'm like, golly. But I do want to invite the locals that are running here in Jackson County. Oh, yeah. I always forget the pledge and the national anthem.
Yeah.
I get so wound up that someone in the front row says, "Come on, Chuck." So, Joe, if you can come up. Joe's my second favorite preacher. That's a joke we have. You know I love you. You know I do. When Tom can't make it, Joe steps up. But we're going to have, if everybody could stand, we'll do the pledge. We'll do the national anthem.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Keep standing.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous night o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof to the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land and of the free and the home of the brave?
Chuck, you can go ahead and be seated. Chuck told me to keep this really short, so Jesus saves, let's pray.
Wow, Joe.
Shortest version, oh, Jesus wept.
Jesus wept, that was
That's
the
the shortest
shortest.
one in the Bible.
I memorized that one.
You memorized that one? How long did it take you? Hey, happy Independence Day, everybody. Great time of year. Hey, before, I am going to share something just very, very short, but as we're entering this last month before the primary, and we're all beginning to make our decisions on who to vote for. Absentee voting started last week for the primary. The 23rd of this month is no excuse voting, and then, of course, Election Day, August 6th. But I just want to give everybody a couple of scriptures, because God tells us, He gives us counsel on how to choose candidates. And the first one I'm going to read is in Deuteronomy chapter 1. And He says, choose wise, discerning, and experienced men from your tribes, and I will appoint them as your heads. I want you to notice something there, too. He said, you choose, and I'll appoint.
Yeah, interesting.
But He didn't say those who look good, smell good, have a good, good issues, or even likable. That's one of the most common ways we choose a candidate.
Yeah.
But He said, choose wise, discerning, and experienced men. The next one is in Exodus 18. You shall select out of all the people able men who fear God, men of truth.
Yeah.
This is a good one. You need to sit down for this one, all right? This is good. Those who hate dishonest gain.
Yes.
And you shall place them over these as leaders of thousands, hundreds, of fifties, and of tens. That's some good counsel, isn't it?
Yes.
What if we all chose our politicians that way?
Amen.
And we can begin changing this nation.
That's right.
With me. Let's pray together. Father, thank you so much. Lord, I just thank you so much for you. That you came and you found me.
Yes.
You gave me new life. You adopted me. Gave me an inheritance. Called me a son. Thank you for that, Father. There's nothing greater than having a relationship with you and fellowship with the God of the universe. I pray for each person here, and especially those that don't have that type of relationship, that they will open their hearts to you even tonight, Father. Lord, thank you for this great country that you've given birth to as we celebrate our Independence Day this Thursday. Thank you. And Father, we acknowledge that you're the one that gave us our rights and our freedoms.
That's right.
They came from you. They were free gifts. And I'm convinced that if we partner with you, not you partnering with us, but we partner with you, you will save this nation
Yes.
and turn it back to being a shining light.
Yes.
So Father, we ask you for victory, your will to be done. I pray that your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. And may your kingdom come. Father, we ask for your blessing on this meeting tonight, for every speaker, every person that we have ears to hear. We'd have the courage that we need to be bold and courageous in this hour. May everything we do and everything we say bring glory to your holy name. Amen.
Amen.
That's good.
You're leaving me hanging.
Sing.
Oh, I can't sing. Well, if you have your Bibles, just go ahead and pull them out.
Go ahead. We got a few people that are gonna talk tonight.
We thought we'd fill in. I'm Teresa McBride. I'm the vice chair of the Jackson County Republican Committee. Nice to see everybody. I just wanted to tell you a quick announcement. We have a golf tournament fundraiser happening at Drum Farm August 23rd. So if you want to go to our website, jacomo.gop, and sign up. They're going to be, I've heard rumors, former Chiefs players, I don't know how well they can play after all their injuries, but going to be there playing too. So you might see some of them, but give us a shout, and hope to see you there.
I also invited the locals, anybody running for election here locally in Jackson County. Rick Bratton will be here later on this evening too, so Couple things I missed. If you're new and you're not on our email campaign, we don't send out a lot of emails, maybe 2 or 3 a month, to keep you abreast of what's going on calendar-wise, or what's going on and what's coming up in We the People. But there is a sign-up sheet here in the front. There's a big bowl there that's a donation sheet. If you have a few bucks, throw it in there to help pay the rent. It's only $200 a month. We always get that much, so I'm not worried about it. If you have it, if you don't worry about it. It's no big deal. We love you being here. What else am I forgetting on that?
Business.
Oh, business book. We have, you know, I'm like the #1 networker around. And I've got all these people in this room that own businesses. And we thought to ourselves, the directors and I started talking about it, and I said, why don't we start giving business to each other? Why don't we have everybody that owns a business bring their business card and put it in the book of business? And my friend Donna Gordon is wonderful at keeping track of the book of business, and she sends that out once a month. And you can see everybody that owns a business on there, and you can call them or talk to them or whatever. I do have, you know, different pieces of political material over here. Anything on that table you're more than able to take with you. That's okay. So, who's first? Who's running for elections? Come on up. Joe, come on up. Who else is there? Running for local elections, not state, local. I must not have been paying attention. Did you talk about the golf tournament coming up?
Your name, Joe.
We need to check and see if he's on his throat. I know, right? What year is it? Sugar's low. That's not
That's my
even.
Joe Biden impersonation.
I was like, that's not even funny. Better quote it.
The best line the other night was he goes, I have no idea what he said. I don't think he knows it. That was the best line the other night. Does anybody in the room golf? Does anybody in the room golf? Does anybody know what a 6 handicap is?
Not Joe.
Some of the best golfers that I know, and these are 6'4", 6'5" guys that can drive the ball 300 yards.
Yeah.
They have a handicap of like 10 or 11 or 12.
Yeah.
You're almost a pro when you have a handicap of a 6. And Joe Biden said, you know, what they did is all they did was they asked, how's your health? And Trump said, well, I'm pretty healthy. I golf a lot and I do this. And then Joe goes, yeah, I got a 6 handicap. The man was lost, to say the least. He was lost. I'm going, shame on the Democrat Party. Shame on his family.
Yeah.
Shame on the American people that voted him in.
That's right.
I mean, you talk about a lost group of people. It's crazy. I'm sorry I got off on that tangent.
Sorry, you started.
You started.
I did, but you didn't remember, so it was your fault.
Oh, by the way, I do have a team that's going to be playing in that golf tournament. It's August the 22nd. 23rd. Is that a Friday? It's a Friday. I've got 3 nephews flying into town, and we're going to play 4 days of golf, and that's one of the days. It'll be a lot of fun. But if you golf, or even if you don't golf, but you know someone that does, tell them about it. Please, tell them about it. We need to fill that up. It's a good moneymaker, good fundraiser. Go ahead, Carolyn.
4 minutes?
Okay, so have you ever wondered why liberals are referred to as the left and conservatives to the right? I have. So Ecclesiastes, chapter 10, verse 2.
That's right.
The heart of the wise inclines to the right,
Yes.
but the heart of the fool to the left. Joe's a preacher, but I'm an elder. So I'm Carolyn Caton, and I am running for District 33 State Representative. I am a Christian, I am a conservative, and my passion is serving people. I love to help people. It makes my heart happy and it fills my soul. So everyone that is conservative, we are pro-life, we are Second Amendment. A couple things that are very important to me is school choice and parental rights. I was door knocking and I ran into a girl who just graduated, turned 18, and she is so excited about being able to vote this year. And she told me about her English literature class in which she had to sit next to a girl who wore ears and a tail and wanted to be referred to as Panda. No, sorry. Can't happen. We have got to take back control. There are two sexes. There are boys and there are girls. And you can do whatever you want to your body, but at the end of the day, when you meet your maker, you will be a boy or you will be a girl. Period. End of story. Another thing important to me is also, we're experiencing this in my family, is when did doctors lose control of having the determination of your treatment and care?
When big corporate got into medicine?
Absolutely. And we have got to take control back from big pharma, from insurance companies, so that our doctors can do what's best for us. Right? So school choice, again, we talked about healthcare. Got to do something about property rights. We have some good bills that are coming into play. We've got Sean Smith, who's going to be working hard on our behalf. So I'm going to tell you now about my fundraiser that's coming up. Well, first of all, I still have some raffle tickets for my AR-15. I'm going to have them with me. It's $10 a ticket, or 3 for $25, and we're going to sell enough between tonight and next Monday on July 8th. We're going to be right here for a concert by country music singer Trey Taylor. Yes, it's going to be a blast. So tickets are $110. That includes a concert, and we're going to have barbecue by Bait City, and then some of my incredible supporters are going to make the best brownies you've ever eaten in your entire life. So you're going to be here. I would appreciate it if you could go online and purchase them so I know how much food to order, but regardless, come if you don't even sign up on my web, which is carolynformo.com. That's CarolynFormo.com. We're going to have a very, very good time. Great music, great food, and great friends. The title of it is Faith, Family, and Friends. So please come join me. Thank you.
Carolyn is the best,
I know.
and we need to get her elected.
Yes.
Her area is Blue Springs, Lake Lotawana, Lone Jack,
Greenwood. Got
Greenwood.
a couple pockets in Green Valley and a couple pockets in Oak Grove.
So that's the territory that she's running in, and we need to do our best job we can to have everybody vote for her. Her opponent is a rhino, big time.
Yep.
He voted for minors to be able to do sex changes.
Men and women's sports.
He voted that men can play in women's sports. I mean, the man is, and you know, Carolyn wouldn't say it, but I can, because I don't care. I'm just telling you, we need to get this lady elected. She's conservative, she's Christian, she's everything that we need in office.
Thank you, Chuck. I'm J.C. Crossley. I'm running for District 34, which is wholly contained within Lee Summit. I ran in 22, and I lost by 42. So we need men and women. You know, people talk about people going in office. We need men and women that have a strong moral compass, that when they stand up here in front of you guys and tell you they're gonna do this or do that, or stand for that or vote for that, that they actually go down there and do that. And the reason we have a problem the way we do is in Jeff City, and every other place that's got people, political people gathered, is no one holds the people accountable. We don't know, well, I know, but a lot of people don't know how their representative votes. They don't know how their Missouri senator votes. They don't know how their congressman up in Kansas City, up in Washington D.C. votes. And so I think that you guys, we the people, need to hold us that want to be elected. I don't want to call myself a politician. I'd like to be an elected official. I think it sounds better. And hold us accountable to what we say we're going to do. And that's why we have such a problem. We have people go out voting on personality. And I don't have a personality, so you can't vote for that. I don't have a primary. I have a general election. I have information over here on the table about me. I have envelopes if you'd like to donate, because it unbelievably takes money to run this. My competition, my competitor that got elected last time, he raised $108,000 for that state seat. I raised $29,000. He only beat me by 42. So I need lots of help. Anybody that doesn't have anything to do can get a hold of me. My information's over there, and I appreciate your help. And we need to hold our officials, the people that.
JC, what is the office that you're running for?
State Representative, District 34 in Lee Summit. But you're in it. I put a sign in the yard last time. And he's giving me money too. Anyway, thank you guys. We need to get these people to have primaries. We need to get these people in office. We're about the state one, but we need to get Joe. We need to get Karen. We need to keep people that, if you're a Republican, then you need to be, but you don't want to be a Republican, then go ahead and put a D in front of your name. But you go to Jeff City, vote, and shame on us if we don't hold those people accountable and raise our voice up and make it heard. And we can go to Jeff City. You can go to Jeff City anytime you want. And you can roam the halls, and you can bug those people in their offices if they're not there. You can leave notes on their desk. So it only takes 2.5 hours from here to go to Jeff City, and they've got lots of good food down there. Because
What's his name?
JC, I couldn't think of his first name, JC Crosley. I don't think JC's got a primary, does he?
No.
So, he's gonna be in the November too, so we'll hear him September and October also. Come on up, Joe. The primary is coming up in August.
Tuesday, August 6th.
These people, they have they're up against someone else that is supposedly in the Republican Party. We need to get these people elected in the primary so they can go be on the election in November. So
Thank you. Well, good evening again. Has anybody already voted absentee? No. Interesting. Good. I've had several people call me and tell me they've already voted. So my name's Joe Nicola. I'm running for State Senate in District 11. District 11 is just, District 11 is just north of here. It's all of Independence, Sugar Creek, Buckner, Levacy, Sibley. It's got most of Oak Grove, most of Grain Valley, and it even crosses the 435 highway and goes into northeast Kansas City just a little bit. So I'll be on 2 election boards. And we don't have liberty. I believe John Adams said that we do not have liberty if we cannot secure our property. And that's my number one issue. We have got to secure our property rights. And because it's so important to me, I've been, Sean Smith and I have partnered together, Representative Jeff Coleman and I have partnered together, and we've been holding forums around the district to inform seniors of the new law that you can freeze your property taxes. I've got 3 more of those coming up. I have a flyer here, this white flyer that's on the table. If you, or if you know somebody that needs some information at this forum, we do a presentation just to inform. Then we'll take all kinds of questions if you have questions about it. And then we have people there with laptops that will help people to apply online to freeze your property taxes. Number one question we get about that, I don't want to freeze it at this high rate.
Right.
You'll always get the decrease. So if the AG is successful and it's lowered, you're gonna get the decrease even if you're frozen. Even 5 years, 10 years down from now, if you ever get a decrease, you're gonna get that decrease. What it'll do, it'll freeze you from ever paying more than where you're at right now, okay? So property rights are number one. Education, I use the term education freedom. Instead of school choice, I use education freedom, and here's what I mean by that. Parents have and must maintain full 100% right and authority to educate their children the way they choose. At the same time, we also must support our teachers and our students in the public school system. I worked for the public schools for 17 years. I worked in student discipline on school buses. That was fun. Actually, I really enjoyed it. And so I've gotten to see a lot of what goes on in schools. And the schools need help, we all know that. They need to be changed. So let's do, they're not gonna go away, so let's do what we can to make them better, right? That's why we're electing good school board members and things. Crime is another one that is just off the charts. County's not prosecuting fentanyl cases and other drug crimes, and we've got to find a way we can hold prosecutors accountable. I have already visited with 2 public school superintendents in my district. I visited with one chief of police already, have another meeting with another chief of police. One of the chief of police told me, he said, Joe, no elected official and no candidate has ever come and asked me like you have what I need. And that's the way I do things. I've never been in law enforcement. I don't know what a police officer needs. I hear candidates saying police officers need this and that. Have we asked them? Let's ask them. Let's partner together. Let's make some change. Let's clean up our streets. Let's do some things about crime. A couple other things. I also have some brand new chief schedules. If you would like that. They're only $14.95, but they're free tonight. And then in honor of Independence Day, I have a pocket constitution. I'm sure this group, everybody has at least 2 of them. In case you don't, I have a pocket constitution. There is a test, and it's ongoing. So you need to know what this says, okay? Thank you very much. Again, my name's Joe Nicola, running for Missouri State Senate. I would appreciate your vote. I would appreciate if you don't live in the district, that if you have friends or family, you tell them. If you would text them and get them out to vote. I need all the votes I can get. I have 2 primary opponents right now, and I need all the votes I can get to push me across the finish line so we can, this district has traditionally, District 11 traditionally has been Democrat. Because of redistricting, it's now more red. And we have a great chance to take this for the Republican Party. So I need your help to do that. Thank you all so much.
Said Blue Springs.
You know, it's,
I believe something.
We the People covers like 9 different subjects. You know, we cover police,
I've seen him in
security,
my
legal,
neighborhood a couple of
health,
times.
Yeah.
human trafficking, drug
I'll have
trafficking.
to look that up.
Veterans, what else? School boards. Library, I mean, we cover a lot of subjects. And since this is 2024, the biggest and most important part is our elections, our local and our state. Because this group can make a big difference in local and in state. So I've invited a couple of guys that are running for, Bill Eigel is running for governor, and he's here tonight, and he's going to be speaking to the group. Bill, come on up. Sure, come on up. Well, he's walking up. I forget that.
I know, we all work together. Christy Nichols, I am the president of the 5th District Congressional District. Our 5th District clubs for the Federated Republican Women have been volunteering with the Heartland Honor Flights. Does anybody know about the Heartland Honor Flights? So they take veterans free of charge and fly them to Washington, D.C. for a whole day, going to all the war memorials, and each veteran is assigned a guardian. And when they come home, we all show up. There were about 400 of us that showed up at the airport to welcome them home. And then they have a reunion, to review their trip. We had 91 veterans that went on the spring-summer trip that just came back and just had their reunions. And at the reunion, they had an open mic, and some of the veterans were able to talk about what the trip meant to them. And one of the veterans said, I was a Vietnam vet, and since 1963, I've had nightmares because everybody spit on us and didn't treat us right when we came home. He goes, when we saw all of those people welcome us, the over 400 people, he goes, I don't have those nightmares anymore. And that was a wonderful miracle. So I'm here today. We have applications. How many veterans do we have here? Or people that know veterans? Okay, great. If you fill out this application, like I said, they will pay for you to go to Washington, D.C. and assign you a guardian. You have to have your DD-214, your discharge paper with the application. And this is a wonderful opportunity for you to be joined with other veterans. If you know veterans, please take an application. Rebecca will, if you'll raise your hand, she will give you one of these applications. Please really go on this trip if you are a veteran. We so appreciate you, and this is an amazing opportunity for you to be joined together and to be honored and have this opportunity. We also have on September 25th an opportunity for anyone that wants to volunteer to go to the airport to welcome the veterans back from their flight. Last time I said that we had over 400 people, and the veterans just so appreciated it when they came home from their long day. They start at 3:30 in the morning, and they get back about 7:30, 8 o'clock at night, and they were really tired, but when they saw all of us waving flags and signs and just saying, USA, 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 thank you. It was it moved a lot of us emotionally, and it was a wonderful opportunity. So if you want to sign up for that on September 25th, Dina has a sign-up sheet, and you can sign that up and we'll get in touch with you. But we look forward to this next opportunity in serving, and it's just a wonderful opportunity to honor our veterans.
One of the 9 things that covers veterans. I didn't say that a while ago. Bill, come on up.
All right.
It's all yours, buddy.
All right. Thank you very much. Let's go Missouri.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for having me here tonight. I'm State Senator Bill Eigel. This is the second time I've spoken to your group, so hopefully I've improved from the last time, right? I know we have a lot of good patriots in the room tonight, and I got to tell you, this is an important year, folks. We're not just taking our country back, we're taking our state back. We're taking our state back. And a little bit about me. Before I got into politics, I'm a military veteran. I am actually part of 4 generations of my family that have served in the military. My grandfather was a cook for the U.S. Army in World War II. My father was a pilot for the Air Force in the Vietnam War. Both my wife Amanda and I, and you're going to get a chance to meet Amanda. I think you'll agree that you're going to like her better than me. But we were both aircraft maintenance officers. Our last assignment was out of Whiteman Air Force Base. And then most recently, my only son, Kevin, joined the U.S. Navy. So, we're very proud of him, although he did get me a t-shirt for Christmas that says Navy Dad on it. Which is difficult for this Air Force veteran, but we're gonna go with it. We're very proud, very proud. And after being a business owner, I got involved in politics for probably a lot of the same reasons that many of y'all here tonight originally got involved in politics, and that is you identified something wrong in politics, right? For me, in 2014, 2015, I was running my small business, little construction company in St. Louis. They had this thing called Obamacare. Obamacare came out, you remember, we were going to put 100 million Americans on free government-run health insurance, and it was going to cost less, right? It's going to cost less, your rates were going to go down, and everything was going to be honky-dory. Well, guess what? None of that worked out. It was all a lie in the message of big government. Yep. And when my premiums went up 70%, I said, I got to find a way to get involved. Everybody gets involved in politics because of what is something that is wrong in politics. No one gets involved because of something that is right in politics. No one's calling elected officials like me just to say, hey, I decided to start talking politics with my friends because of all the good things happening there, right? Right. Yeah. And so now here we are, and I've decided to run to try to be your next governor, because there's a lot of things wrong in Missouri. And I went down as a state senator thinking that I was just going to have to keep a lid on the few remaining Democrats down in Jefferson City, right? Because there's hardly any of them left. But what I found was the Democrats have far more influence on what's going on in Jefferson City, because they've been aided and abetted by a group of Republicans. You know who they are? The rhinos. That's right, they're the rhinos. They're the ones that are telling you the right thing in campaign season, and they're doing something else once they get into office. And I tell you what, I have gone around for the past 2 years talking to tens of thousands of Republicans who maybe, just like you, are angry and disappointed and frustrated, looking at other big red states doing big red things and wondering, when is Missouri's time going to come that we could be a leader in these United States, right? They see governors in Florida cutting government. They see Louisiana passing a law to put the 10 Commandments back in every public school classroom in the state. And I'm excited about that. But I want to know, when are we going to do those things in Missouri? When are we going to have a bold conservative leader that is going to kick over the apple carts of the powerful in Jefferson City? And stop working for all these special interests that right now as we speak are writing millions of dollars in campaign checks to my opponents. And when are we going to have that bold conservative leader that's going to unite the Republican Party on the principles that we keep talking about in campaign season? We're going to start doing that on August 6th, folks. August 6th, remember that date. Because I know that this isn't a Missouri. The Missouri I'm talking about isn't a Missouri you haven't heard of before. It isn't a Missouri that you're going to be surprised to see when it actually comes to reality. This is a Missouri you've been dreaming of. It's a Missouri that's actually cutting the tax burden and doing all the things that we all too often forget about when campaign season is over. And I know that you want this Missouri because every 2 years on the first Tuesday in November, you show up and demand it. And the only reason we're not getting this Missouri that's a leader in these United States is because of these weak-kneed, spineless Republicans down in Jefferson City. So what does this Missouri look like? Well, you know you've heard it before. And I'm going to deliver on this Missouri where others have failed. What are we going to do? Number one, under an Eigel administration, I tell you now, we're getting rid of personal property tax, folks. You're going to own them all. I know it. And folks look around and they say, holy smokes, can you do that? Can you get rid of personal property tax? 29 states have already gotten rid of personal property tax. We're going to be the 30th one. And the only people saying that we can't get rid of personal property tax are the bureaucrats in Jefferson City. They can't imagine the Missouri I'm talking about. Because after we're done getting rid of personal property tax, we're getting rid of income taxes as well. You know, when you look at those other big red states like Tennessee and Florida and Texas, you know what they don't have? Personal property taxes and income taxes. They still have cops and firefighters and schools. Why are we leading this country? You know what? We also have a problem in this country with illegal immigration. Joe Biden has opened the border of this country and is allowing an invasion to go on. When he was called on the carpet by Donald J. Trump a few nights ago, he wasn't able to answer. I don't even know what he said. But the invasion has come to Missouri. We have 70,000 illegal immigrants in the state of Missouri right now, costing a huge burden on the taxpayers of this state. They're being enrolled in our schools. They're being given state benefits. Guess what? I'm the only candidate that's going to put a stop to that. In fact, I'm the only candidate that on my first day in office, I'm going to declare this for what it is. An invasion under Article 4 of the Missouri Constitution, and we will detain and deport every single one of the folks that are here in this state illegally. We're going to get our communities back. And don't rest assured, you're going to hear from Jefferson City, and they're going to say, you can't do that. Right? You're going to say, you can't do that. How are you going to deport all these illegals? Guess what? We've got these things called the Highway Patrol and the National Guard and every sheriff in this state. What they lack is the authority to act. I'm going to give them that. And really the only question is, why hasn't Mike Parson done that by now? He hasn't done it because he's one of the spineless, weak Republicans in Jefferson City that have been letting you down. Those days are coming to an end, folks. The grift that these folks have built on your tax dollars, a record number of your tax dollars, twice as much as they're collecting per person in Florida, by the way, twice as much as what they're collecting in Texas and Tennessee. We're going to get rid of that grift, and we're going to get our state back. You know what? You know what else we have a problem with? Foreign countries buying our farmland in this state. And I tell you what, this wasn't even a problem before 2013, but in 2013, because Smithfield Foods wanted to sell itself in Northwest Missouri to a Chinese conglomerate, Two then state senators by the name of Mike Kehoe and Mike Parson voted to allow them to buy 270,000 acres of it. Unacceptable. I want you to know that under an Eigel administration, not only will we never let that happen again, we're going to get every square inch of the ground that we've lost in American hands back to American hands. Folks will say, you wait for it, because Jefferson City will say, well, you can't do that, right? You can't do that. You know how we're going to do it? We've already passed the legislation out of the Senate, the much maligned Missouri Senate, by the way, that would have prohibited this going forward. And I actually had a constitutional amendment that would have required those foreign entities to sell back the land to American hands within 2 years. But the swamp didn't like that. Well, my opponents have conveniently forgotten that we've been leading this fight down there for years. They're busy saying why you can't do that, why you can't get to this in Missouri. Well, I'm tired of that message. What about our schools? We talked a little bit about education earlier. What about our schools? How many of y'all here pay property taxes?
Oh, yeah.
Right? Y'all pay property taxes. Even if you're renting, you're paying property taxes. How many of y'all are happy with the outcomes you're seeing in your schools right now?
Nope.
Nobody. Even though a record amount of your money is going into those schools right now. And we've got this nonsense. We're teaching their children the DEI stuff, the CRT stuff, this craziness over the transgender stuff. When I had 2 children, I didn't let them choose their bedtime, much less what God himself has ordained. And now we've got the federal Department of Education sending money and mandates down to Jefferson City through the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education. And then farming it out to the public schools, telling those public schools that if you don't teach our children this nonsense, we're going to pull your accreditation.
That's right.
That's going to stop, folks. Under an Eigel administration, here's what I'm going to do. Number one, we're going to line item veto every single dollar coming from the federal Department of Education. We're going to put a stop to these mandates and money coming out of Washington, D.C. That's number one. Number two, we're going to dismantle the number one worst bureaucracy that we have in Jefferson City, the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education. All right? Their day is coming to an end. And three, the next time any of this pornographic material shows up in one of our schools or one of our libraries, or you know what? The next time I hear about a drag queen show that kids were led into, I want you to know that as your governor, I'm not going to ask the legislature to pass another law because it's already against state law to expose the kids to this nonsense. I'm not going to get another rule for the libraries. I'm not going to go after the budget. The next time a children's exposed to this, I'm going to send in the highway patrol, and we're arresting every single person in that place, folks. And what I would ask you to consider tonight is that we don't have a lack of laws or a lack of mandate from the people of the state to protect the citizens of this state. There's nobody that doesn't understand that our children and our Christian homes are under attack right now by woke leftists in Washington, D.C. that hate us.
That's right.
What we're missing is that leader at the top of our party that's not going to take any guff from the folks down in Jefferson City, no matter what names they call me, and are going to stand in front of every person in this state and take every one of those slings and arrows and bullets that are going to come my way when I have the audacity to tell the swamp that which they don't hear the most. No.
Amen.
Now, you may be wondering, because I also get the question a lot. We're not going to do question and answer tonight, so I'm going to go ahead and jump ahead. I get this question a lot. How is a Bill Eigel going to bring back the Republican Party together? Right? Because I'm kind of a controversial guy. I say it like it is. I'm pretty candid. And that offends the sensibilities of a lot of the politicians down in Jefferson City. And how many of you believe that the Republican Party is fractured right now?
Absolutely.
Right? Every one of you. No matter who you support, and you believe that the Republican Party. You know how a Bill Eigel is going to bring that party back together? It's actually pretty simple. I'm going to do what the other candidates have not done, will not do, and what Mike Parson has not done. I'm going to call on Republicans to do Republican things, and if they don't do it, I'm going to hold them accountable in front of the people of this state.
Amen.
You know why we're fractured? We're fractured every time the governor of this state as a Republican stands up and says, we ought to raise the gas tax. That fractures the Republican Party because there's guys like me and people like you that didn't sign up for that.
That's right.
We're fractured because the government is twice the size it was 6 years ago. A Republican governor that has grown government more in 6 years than every Democratic governor combined, going back to the founding of the state. That fractures the party because there's guys like me and folks like you that didn't sign up for that. When the COVID environment hits us and our leaders stand by and do nothing, when in reality just a few well-placed executive orders telling the state health department and local health departments to behave themselves could have avoided that entire mess. That fractures the party. I'm going to bring us all back together by calling on them to do those Republican things that they already promised you that they would do. And by the way, when I think about those other big red states that are leading the way right now, it's not that those states don't have rhinos. It's not that Tennessee or Texas or Florida don't have the occasional or moderate or rhino that, if given have an opportunity, will betray the GOP brand at the drop of a hat. The difference between Missouri and those other states, in fact, Texas is famous for the number of rhinos in their legislature.
Yes.
The difference between Missouri and those other states is that those states have bold conservative leaders that have made a decision in their mind that the vision that they have of those states right now is more important than any special interest agenda. And they will take this hardline stance against every one of the special interests down in Jefferson City, no matter how unpopular it may make them with other state legislatures. Because the only thing that can defeat the swamp, that can defeat this status quo, Donald Trump calls it the swamp, is you. And for all their messages that a guy like me can't win a race like this, and by the way, they're desperate to convince you that I'm not going to win this race. Right? They're putting out polling, they're putting out all kinds of stuff. They're desperate for you to believe that. They know that this vision I have of a Missouri that you've been asking for years, for 20 years in this state, you're ready for that day. That Ron DeSantis and Greg Abbott and Jeff Landry now down in Louisiana, they're going to wake up one day. They're going to turn on their TVs. And they're going to say to themselves, how can we be more like a show-me state?
Yeah, baby.
So don't be afraid of that over the next 5 weeks as we go through this campaign. By every metric, we are closing in. We're closing in on the polling. We're closing in on raising the funds we need to get our message out. And now, when we start, even though when we started this, they were laughing at us. The swamp was laughing at us. They're silent right now because they're afraid. They know the end is coming, and they know that just like Donald J. Trump is winning the country right now on the message of being a disruptor for one of the worst swamps in American history, we're going to take the state of Missouri back, and we're going to be a leader in this country. I'll leave you this tonight with two thoughts. One, I have a daughter who just graduated high school a few weeks ago. She's 18. She has a 4.0 GPA. She's gorgeous. She got both of those things from her mother. And I know that whatever she's going to do, she's going to be successful.
Yeah.
But I'd like her to have that success here in Missouri. I don't want her to move away to Tennessee or Texas or Florida or any of these other states when she could have a great life, raising a family, God willing, some grandchildren right here in the show-me state. And I'm willing to bet that there are many of y'all that have children or grandchildren that you would prefer not to see move to Florida or Texas or these other red states when we're just missing our opportunity to lead here. And the only thing separating us from that Missouri is a message from the swamp that says you've got to be so afraid that you can't stand up and take your state back. Don't buy into that. Don't believe in that. Don't be afraid of that. Final thought. I'll leave you with my favorite passage of the Bible. Joshua chapter 1, verse 9. Have I not commanded thee? Be bold and courageous.
That's right.
Do not be afraid. Do not be dismayed. For the Lord your God is with you wherever you shall go.
Amen.
Let's go, Missouri. Thank you, everybody. Have a great night. Thanks so much.
I don't think Bill's afraid. Nice job, Bill. Thank you so very much. Moving right along. It is 2024, so we have some other state running for state offices. Tim Baker, running for lieutenant governor, is going to speak for a minute, and he's got a long drive, so he's going to take off after this. But you live where?
Franklin County.
Franklin County.
Oh, boy. Pleasant good evening, everyone. It's hard to top Bill. I really like going after him because, I'm not as charismatic as he is. My name is Tim Baker, and I'm running for lieutenant governor. I'm one of your 6 candidates running for lieutenant governor. As was stated, I'm from Franklin County. For those that don't know where Franklin County is, it's the first county just west of St. Louis County on Highway 44. As I like to say, it's the start of God's country. So I've been there my whole life, except for the 3 years I was in Joplin when I went to Missouri Southern. The gentleman that sang the national anthem. Where is he? Right here? Right there. Love the deep voice. My hidden talent is I can sing. I get asked to sing national anthem a lot, so you did a great job. I just wanted to acknowledge the bass voice. That's always great. So my lovely wife is with me. Where's she at? She's back in the back there. Debbie, we've been married for 30 years. I have 4 lovely daughters. We just celebrated the birth of our first grandchild, so now I have one more male on my side, so that's a good thing. Yes, that's right. And he's celebrating his first birthday, actually the 12th of this month. So on the 13th, we will not be doing any campaigning because I have to be grandpa that day. So, so my late parents and I used to run an ice manufacturing plant for 48 years. So I do know what it's like to actually pull money out of my own pocket to actually pay for things. And ice business is a lot like farming. We can sell ice really, really great on 100-degree days, but it's kind of hard to do it in February, March, and January, so you better know how to budget your money. My parents taught me at a young age to do everything basic, to keep the basics the way they are, and that's how I'm running my campaign. It's back to the basics with Baker. Keeping everything simple and doing things right and doing them right often. So we sold in 2011, and my whole life I've done nothing but serve. I've served on numerous chamber boards, I've served on United Way, Grace's Place, I've worked with our school district a lot on different projects. I'm the current chairman of a local bank. So all I've done is serve my whole life, and I was always taught that, you know, you need to clean up your own backyard before you do anything else. I was asked to run for state rep when we ran our ice plant, and I told them no because my kids were too small. So when we sold, I ran for county commission because I wanted to make a difference in my county. And there was 4 of us in that race. I learned a lot. I actually lost the first race that I was in. But I won 23 of the precincts out of the 30, but they were smaller precincts. Learned a lot. 2 years later, I ran for presiding commissioner. Lost that race against a very strong incumbent. 2 years later, I ran for first district again. Lost that race to a guy with a similar name as mine, so that kind of didn't work out in my favor either. I tell you that because I'm not ashamed, but I tell you that because I'm a fighter. So 2 years later, I actually went to my wife again. I said, hey, babe, I want to run for county commissioner again, and she told me no. So a good friend of mine came up to me and said, hey, the county clerk is resigning. Why don't you run for county clerk? And I'm like, no, I don't want to be the county clerk. County clerk's doing an awful lot of work, and I'm not a note taker. I'm a decision maker. And as they say, you want to make God laugh, tell him your plan. So when I went door to door for this campaign, I actually talked about my faith more than I did my politics. Won 67% of the vote, and actually found out that I love elections. Since I've been in my office, I've been in my office now for 5 years, I've actually saved the taxpayers over $700,000 of real taxpayer money by actually starting at a zero balance instead of taking the balance sheet from last year and adding to it.
Amen.
We started zero and worked our way up. So I've been able to do that by using my business background on that. The other thing that I've done is make sure that our elections are safer and secure with a better chain of custody of the ballots that we have. So those are things that I'm really proud of. The other thing that I'm really proud of since I've been in office is that I wrote a book for the county government. So for the last 3 years, we've been going out and educating 3rd and 4th graders about civics in our classrooms. And what we found out is we're not only teaching the kids, we're actually teaching the teachers because teachers have no idea what the county government does. And when I'm done talking to them, the 2 things I always tell them is, 1, there are 4 million registered voters in the state of Missouri. There are only 1,300 elected officials. I say elected official because I know that I work for you, not the other way around. A politician is a dirty word in my opinion. The other thing I tell them is, we said it tonight whenever we stood up and said the pledge. We're a republic, not a democracy. And I always tell them, if you ever forget it, just say the pledge. To the republic for which I stand, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And under God is the foundation of everything that we hold near and dear that has been cracked, and we need to build that back up.
That's right.
So what does the lieutenant governor do? It's not as classy as the governor, doesn't get to do all those things, but the governor actually has the lieutenant governor actually has 2 constitutional duties. One is that he or she is in charge of the Senate and breaks ties in the case of a tie. Now, one thing that I will promise you is that I come from the school of you show up early, you leave late. Now, unfortunately, tonight I'm going to break that because my wife and I are driving back to Franklin County. But usually we stay late and close places down. But that's how I was brought up. So I plan on being in that Senate seat and running the Senate chamber. And the other thing that I will make a promise to you is I'm going to work very hard to make single subject bills.
Yes.
Then you will truly know how your politicians are, as I said, elected officials, who they're voting for, because they always say, well, I had to vote for it because of the veterans. I had to vote for it because of the seniors. We had to vote for it for the children. And then we spend the next 4 years cleaning up the mess that they made. So, and it's in the Constitution already, single subject bills. So I'm gonna work very hard to make sure that that happens if I'm elected lieutenant governor. The other obligation of the lieutenant governor is in the passing timely removal of the governor, he or she becomes governor. Those are the only two duties that the lieutenant governor does that has to do constitutionally. But they're also in charge of a lot of different boards. And they're veterans. They're the biggest advocate for the veterans. Now, I did not serve in our military, but I love our veterans. I blew my knee out playing football. And that's when they found out I could sing, actually. But every Friday, my office wears red to remember everyone deployed. They're in charge of the seniors. They're the biggest advocate for the seniors. For 20 years, I was on a senior center board, 10 as board president. They're in charge of tourism. For 6 years, I actually chaired the first tourism in our county. My whole life, I didn't realize I was preparing for this job. So to tell you a little background about how I got to this position, because I know I got a little time left, I think, is that when they redistricted our county, we were actually in CD2, Congressional District 2, and I was actually going to run for Congress. And I actually had a good friend of mine come up to me and said, hey, Tim, would you consider running for lieutenant governor? There's not a strong conservative in this race. And I said, I don't know. And I actually had the same feeling come over me as I did when somebody asked me to run for county clerk. So that's why I'm standing here today, because this is where I believe I'm supposed to be. Win or lose, the good Lord's going to put me where he wants me to be. Whether I'm going to be a lieutenant governor and I'm going to be at the county clerk. I wake up every morning trying to make a difference, because I do not want to meet my maker one day and him say, look, Tim, I put you in this position to make a difference, and all you're worried about was your next election. If I'm not doing a good enough job, you don't deserve to have me up there, and I will not be there. But I'm going to make a difference every day that I'm there, whether it's a lieutenant governor or the county clerk. But I would appreciate your support on August 6th. I do need your support. We are the one candidate in this race that are doing, I don't have idle miles on my car. I think he's up to 70,000 miles. We're at 35. But we're putting in the sweat equity. And with the good grace of people and the blessing of the Lord, we will make it with your help to win this race. The best thing you can do to help me is actually social media, by our Facebook page, by liking it, sharing it with your friends, and just telling your friends and neighbors about us. We were blessed that we actually had 50 signs with us, and they all went out this weekend, which we had to plan to bring more today, and we got more coming, which is great. But when I win this thing, just know that I'm going to win a statewide race for under $50,000, which means I work for you, not your lobby. But I can't do it without your help. So please consider me for your lieutenant governor. My name is Tim Baker, and yeah, that's it. So thank you again for having me.
That was awesome too.
Yeah.
You having a Biden moment?
My Biden moments are like this. I was just waiting to see what y'all were going to say when I paused there for a minute. But the number one thing is to get the rhinos out. The number one thing is to have accountability on who we do elect. And you guys were terrific. Thank you so very much. It thrills me that we have these guys that are running for state office, that we are big enough. We make a big enough difference that they call me and they want to talk in front of our group. That's pretty cool right there.
Yeah,
So, I've got Shane Scholler that is running for Secretary of State, and he wants to talk to the group too.
Thank you so much for letting me be here tonight. My name is Shane Schiller. I currently serve as the county clerk in Greene County, Missouri. I've been doing that for the past 10 years. And when I first ran for office, I ran for the legislature back in 2006. My theme was working to serve you, because I am a firm believer that that is what public office is about. It's about serving those around you. I know that Carolyn mentioned it earlier. It's critical. And as county clerk, we serve the county. We serve the public. For example, as most folks know, the county clerk oversees elections, voter registration. We also oversee tax administration. We work between the collector of revenue and the assessor. And we serve as the secretary of the Board of Equalization. We also oversee the payroll. We oversee benefits for the employees of Greene County. We also oversee record retention and archives. We do licensing. I joke that I'm a teetotaling Baptist and my name's on every liquor establishment in Greene County. And so, anyway, but I say all that to say, Secretary of State is very similar. Secretary of State, of course, oversees elections, voter registration, record retention, archives, notaries. They also oversee investment protection, business services, Whitmer Library for the Blind, the state library. It also oversees the publishing of the rules. There's many different duties. The writing of the language for the nation petition, as you well know, for any that are going to make the ballot. So there's a number of duties the Secretary of State does that serve the public and serve also the folks at for the Missouri state government. So it's critically important in terms of when you think about the role of someone that they want to serve those around them. So when I think about the office, for example, in business services, when you would get your business license, first place you're going to go is the state to make sure you get your license through the state. And one of the things that we can do through that office is we can give people information to empower them. The information I'm talking about is financial literacy. Did you know that for small business owners, the number one reason most small business owners fail is because they don't have the information to be able to know how to run that business? So let's just offer them the tools, not mandate it, just say, hey, you're opening up your business. Here's some powerful information to make sure that you can balance your ledger, make sure you're able to keep your business open at the end of every month. Those are important things we can do to serve the public. Investment protection. As you well know, we need to make sure, especially in tough economic times, that we're protecting every investor. Because that's when those who want to prey on those who are investing, trying to stretch that hard-earned dollar, they're going to try to put forth more fraudulent schemes. But now, as we know, we not only have to protect them from those who would prey on them, we have to protect them from those who invest their dollars. You've probably heard of economic or environmental social governance. That's a huge issue now, that you have companies like BlackRock who are taking our hard-earned dollars and they're now investing them through their social platforms to try to get their liberal agenda taken care of through our hard-earned dollars. Folks, Secretary Ashcroft wrote a rule, said that that cannot happen. But not only did he write that rule, he also tried to get the legislature to pass it. Unfortunately, that did not happen. Folks, we need to get that written in the state statute to make sure that no one's hard-earned dollars when they invested are going to be put into something like that that goes against what you and I believe. As a legislature, I passed paycheck protection. First time to my knowledge that was passed to the Missouri House. If you're familiar with paycheck protection, that's where the unions would take a portion of your check and they would put it towards candidates that you did not necessarily agree with. And almost every time it was Democratic candidates. So we were able to get that passed out of the House. It was the first time, unfortunately, it did fail in the Senate. But I'm a firm believer that you ought to be able to have a say over what happens with your hard-earned money. Right. And I want to continue with that as your Secretary of State, absolutely. Thank you. And then libraries. Now, when I was a kid, I had a hard time going into the local library because it was pretty boring, right? It wasn't until I got to college and began to study I really appreciated what the local library did for me, especially our library there at South West Baptist University. I could kind of cut out the noise. But now, how often do we go into a local library and they're now pushing forth an agenda? That's right. Yeah. I don't know about you, but that makes me mad. Yeah. That's not what they're there for. And I know we've already heard some information tonight about what's happening in terms of the drag queen shows. You know, last year, we learned some information that our public health department for Springfield City of Springfield, happens to have it in Greene County, and we don't run it. We just work with them in terms of paying them a contract fee for them to do the public health for the citizens of Greene County. They were taking their money and promoting Pride Fest in terms of being a sponsor. I went out and said that is absolutely uncalled for. No public dollar should be promoting anything like this. And I also said, you know what? As a Christian, I don't want the public dollar promoting my Christian faith. It's absolutely not appropriate. We need to make sure we keep those dollars separate. But especially when we think about our children, when they go to the local library, they should not have any adverse agenda being promoted to them or any pornographic material being put forth in front of them. Right. Folks, we need to protect them. Now, personally, I don't want my taxpayer dollars ever paying for any of that. But at a minimum, we make sure our children should not see that. And when you go in, what should the local library be promoting? Reading and literacy. That's right. That's it. And those other kinds of things should go away. Now, here's what I'm going to say that you're not going to hear a lot of candidates say, though. The best way to make sure your local library is doing what you need to do is to make sure that you are part of the local library board.
That's right.
They are appointed through your commission, they're appointed through your local mayors. And folks, I'm telling you, your local property taxpayer dollar pays for most of your local library. Now, of course, Secretary of State does have a part of that funding in terms of grant funding, but it's minimal compared to what your property tax dollars are paid for your local library. Folks, it's time to get on these local library boards and say to those people who might be trying to promote that agenda, we're not going to do that anymore. We're going to get about the business of reading and literacy. And as Secretary of State, I want to be able to help lead in that, because here's what I believe. The answers don't come from Washington, D.C. They don't come from Jefferson City. Our founding fathers knew the answers come from right here within this community.
That's right.
And folks, we need to stand up and be able to be a force for your voice. And the only way that's going to happen is not by people yelling from Washington, D.C. and frankly, Jefferson City. It's going to be because of your voice. And that's what I want to do, is lead together with you and be able to do that. And so that's important to me. Of course, Record Retention Archives in 2022, I was named a Sunshine Hero through the Missouri Sunshine Coalition, because I believe in transparency. It's your government. If you have questions about your government, you want access to that, I'm gonna do everything I can to make sure you get that information. Matter of fact, back in 2017, I put on the Sunshine Law School for not just Greene County, but I put it on for anyone that wanted to come. We had cities that came, fire protection districts. We actually had the Missouri Highway Patrol come. And you know why I did it? Is because I want to make sure that they had the information and knowledge to be able to respond to your request when you have them. And so it's about giving people information and empowering them with that. And so all too often what you'll find is a lot of times, especially in smaller cities, fire protection districts, they hire someone who's not even aware of what the Sunshine Law is. And so after they're hired, let's give them the tools they need to be able to have information, to be able to provide the public the information when they request it. Because I'm telling you what, when you have someone request information from you as a public entity, it makes you realize people are paying attention to what you're doing.
Yep.
And you know what's going to happen? You're probably going to do a better job.
Yep.
And if you're not, you're probably going to be on your way out. But that's how we make sure we engage with each other back and forth in terms of public governance. Because I tell people, I learned a long time ago, I don't know near enough. You probably know more than I know. And I would tell people in the legislature, don't trust me. And I didn't say that because I was planning to do things that were wrong. I knew that there's probably information they had that I needed to know. If they didn't share it with me, I wasn't going to be nearly as knowledgeable to be able to debate the topics and talk about the subjects that are coming through the legislature. And the same thing with Secretary of State, is we need to work together on this, because this is our government. It is we the people, which is here. I love we the people. It's always been something near and dear to my heart in terms of what I believe and what I stand for. But most of you probably know, when you think about the Secretary of State's office, you're thinking about elections, right? That's what the public face, and I know as county clerk, that's exactly what people think of when they think of county clerk. Although I do joke that because we do payroll every 2 weeks, the most important thing people who work for the county is making sure they get that paycheck, because if they don't, we hear about that as well. But when you think about elections, folks, it's really critical, because I will never forget election night 2000. How do you remember election night 2000?
Yeah, of course.
Now, how many of you think about another state, election night 2000?
Yeah.
How many of you think about what happened in our state that night? Does anyone recall? Well, keep that, think about what happened in our state that night. I became the county clerk back in 2015. Back in 2001, I was able to go tour the city of St. Louis election office. And the reason we toured the city of St. Louis election office back in 2001, I went to work for then Secretary of State Matt Blunt, who was newly elected. My wife was in law school, so I was able to go work with him during his first 2 years. He was Secretary of State. We went to the city of St. Louis because they held the polls open for an additional 3 hours on the night of the election back in 2000. So fast forward, I was actually the nominee for Secretary of State back in 2012. Lost narrowly on the night of the election by about 30,000 votes. And then in 2013, my predecessor decided he wasn't going to run again. So in 2014, I ran to be the county clerk in Greene County, Missouri. And as I was running and finally came to office in April, literally my first election, we had someone who decided to commit voter fraud during their first election that I conducted in Greene County. And so I took that information to our sheriff. The sheriff did the investigation, and guess what? They admitted that they voted twice. They were held accountable. So when I talk about making sure every election you vote in is secure accurate and fair, I know exactly what I'm talking about. I understand it because I've seen it from many different levels in terms of what you need to do to make sure that every election is secure, accurate, and fair. And so that was my first election in 2015. And then, of course, have conducted many elections since that period of time. But one of the things that you learn that's critical to every election, and I was president of our association back in 2022, is we finally got the paper ballot to be the official ballot. I fought for that when I was in the legislature, but I was so glad we got it in 2022 in the election integrity bill. The other thing we got done is I passed photo ID when I was in the House.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we didn't get to vote on that until 2016. Now, how many of you are like me, when you voted for photo ID in 2016 to be put in the Constitution, did you think that you would still be able to use your utility statement or bank statement to check in to vote with? No, we absolutely did not, because when we voted for that, thought we were getting real photo ID. Well, finally, in 2022, we swept out all those forms of paper documentation that are so easily counterfeited, and we have a real photo ID law now that protects your vote every time you come to vote, absolutely. And so I'm glad we have that. The other thing we did is we were proactive. We made sure that drop boxes are not coming to the state of Missouri. And folks, we saw what happened down in Georgia, and I think it's critical that does not come to our state. Now, there's some things we can do to improve. For example, how do you be surprised to know, and I brought this up when I launched my campaign over a year ago, that when we receive an absentee ballot back in the mail, that we are not required to check the signature on that outer envelope. Now, is it a best practice by most election officials? Yes, I do that in Greene County. I'm not aware of an election authority that doesn't, but here's why it's a problem. Because if someone's choosing not to check that signature because they are trying to change the outcome of the election, guess what? There's nothing you can do to hold them accountable. Folks, we need to get that changed. And because I spoke up last year, legislation was filed this year in the legislature to get that done. And so I'm proud of that. And the other thing that I'm proud of is that we're finally going to have an opportunity to vote in November, because I brought this out as well, to make sure that only citizens vote in any election. That's right. Election night 2000. I want to go back to that. The night before the election, Congressman Bill Clay was at a rally. His son Lacey Clay was running to succeed him. It's now it's now the seat that Cori Bush is in. And Lacey Clay, or Bill Clay, said at the rally, he said, if we have to hold the polls open tomorrow, we will hold the polls open to make sure you get a chance to vote. Well, before the polls closed, here in Kansas City and St. Louis, a petition was put before the local circuit court, asking them to hold the polls open. It got rejected in Kansas City because of the way the petition was filed. There was something wrong with the motion. But in St. Louis, it was accepted. By 6:30 that night, people began to get around the phone calls in their homes. If you remember when we had answer machines back in the day? People began to get around the phone calls in their home, telling them they could continue to vote past 7 o'clock. That was by Jesse Jackson. After 7 o'clock, then Vice President Al Gore, he began to call into people's homes, telling them they could continue to vote past 7 o'clock. People continued to vote for an additional 3 hours. So even when you stop voting here in Jackson County, Kansas City, even the surrounding Platte or Clay, they continued to vote for an additional 3 hours. Now, how many votes did Jim Talent, who's running for governor, lose by that night? About 20,000 votes. How many votes did John Ashcroft lose that night by when he was running for a second term of the U.S. Senate? About 50,000 votes. Now, folks, here's why this is important. Do you remember who the Secretary of State was that night? Do you remember Judy Moriarty from Pettis County? Remember she got impeached because she let her son file 5 minutes past the closing period to file for state representative, their Secretary of State's office? Becky Cook was appointed by Mel Carnahan to succeed her. And here's why I mention that. Because Becky Cook was nowhere to be seen to say that if they stop voting here in Jackson County, Platte County, Clay County, Kansas City at 7 o'clock, then they need to stop voting in the city of St. Louis at 7 o'clock.
That's right.
She was not there to fight for you, and here's why. I'm running for Secretary of State. It was because I want to fight for you. So I'll close with this. How do you remember Paul Revere when he said the British are coming? You think he said that because he wanted to go and hide? No. Yeah. He loved this country, and he knew what we could become. He said it because he wanted us to stand and fight. And folks, I'm running to be your next Secretary of State because I want to stand and fight for you. Because let me tell you what, the playbook is long when it comes to election fraud. And as election for the past 10 years, I understand it from very, very many different points of how they try to do it. I'm the only person running, regardless of ticket, who has actually run an election. I'm ready day one to be your Secretary of State. I'm committed and passionate to do that for you, to make sure that every election you vote in is secure, accurate, and fair. And that's why I asked for your vote this August 6th. Thank you very much.
You know when he had me? When he started talking about the libraries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. You know how passionate I am about that, and about the, people say, Chuck, you shouldn't say pornography. I'm saying pornography.
That's right.
We're, we've got the wrong agenda in the public libraries.
Yeah.
If you go to the one on Coburn Road, if you go to the one up here on 50 Highway, take a look at the sections.
Yeah.
It's wrong. And,
Thank you.
I enjoyed that talk. I enjoyed that a lot. So, we've got a couple of more people that are going to be speaking. Sean Smith, I want to invite you up. Does anybody know who Sean is? He is the hardest working person running for an office that I have ever seen. He is in the Jackson County Legislature, and he's in a minority. I think he's down, 5-2? 7-2. So he works real hard to make his points and to make sure that we're heard. But he's running against Emmanuel Cleaver.
Yes, baby.
I think Emmanuel Cleaver probably has that Biden look too, but.
It's time for him to go.
So I'm gonna let Sean tell you what he's up to. And I implore each and every one of you to make sure that all your friends, all your neighbors, everybody in Jackson County votes for this man right here.
Thank you, Chuck. I'll try to not wander too far so the cameras don't have to. So, anybody here familiar with the term gaslighting?
Yeah.
Right? Where you just keep on imploring people that something that's completely untrue, you just keep telling them over and over again that it's true, and the idea with gaslighting is that eventually, even though they started off knowing it wasn't true, they start to believe it. Anybody think that we've been gaslit by our media about Joe Biden? And so it was interesting. I was really curious what my opponent would say about the debate. I had to look for it, and I'm hoping to find video or audio of it, because right now all I've got is in text, but essentially he is sticking to the gaslight story of Joe Biden is fit to serve. What's fascinating about that is that I, just on the way over here, by the way, I was in Independence for another event. Sorry I got here late. I have a few yard signs left. I started off the day with about 50 in my truck, and now I think there's 8 over there, so grab them if you want them. But what we learned today is that when Joe Biden said no service members died on his watch, he may have actually been telling the truth. Because Joe Biden only works from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. His prior press secretary said that has been his work schedule. So that means that for the other 18 hours a day, we don't have a president of the United States. They talked a little bit about the president of the United States before Biden having to be woken up and make big decisions. Our embassy's about ready to be attacked. We are burning documents. That means they're afraid they're going to lose an embassy. And you wake up the president at that point and you say, what do you want us to do? He said, and this is again going back to Trump, who's running this operation? Soleimani. Okay, go kill Soleimani. Like, imagine being woken up at 3:30 in the morning and told that your country's under attack and you have to make a snap decision to take action. That's who we've got there. And I don't think any of us are necessarily needing any further evidence that Joe Biden's not capable.
That's right.
What's fascinating to me, though, because of my role, I do get to stay friends with some Democrats. One of them had posted, "Hey, where's somebody going to watch the debate?" And as a result of that, I kind of watched how the conversation went. There was probably half of her friends that said, "I'm not going to watch the debate because Trump's just going to lie." So there's still people out there who don't know.
I know.
Imagine,
It's crazy.
it's crazy. It is crazy. But that's what we have to understand that we're competing against is people who refuse to see the truth because they have been gaslit.
Yeah.
And they're gaslit not just by the media, but they're gaslit by, for example, my opponent Emanuel Cleaver, who says that he's still confident that, and he has served in Congress with Joe Biden for 20 years. My opponent is in a great position to know exactly how far Joe Biden has declined, and yet he's still sticking to the story. He is the gaslighter in chief, apparently, for the Kansas City area, and it's time for him to go. I want to put a pin in that for just a minute and talk about another situation that I think we've all been gaslit on. By the way, if anybody wants me to talk about the property tax thing, I don't know if you've heard, but I'm under a gag order. So I testified on Friday last week, and the county, who's theoretically my attorney, said we don't want to cross-examine him now, we'll cross-examine him July 8th when we come back after the holiday break. And the very innocent sounding thing, I suppose this is talking about the trial, but I'm not supposed to. I don't follow the rules all the time. So the judge said, well, you'll remain under oath until you come back. And I thought, okay, no problem. I tell the truth all the time anyway, so I'm happy to be under oath 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for the next 11 days. No big deal to me. I stood up and I was getting ready to walk off the witness stand and I said, what does that mean? And she says, you can't talk about the trial, you can't talk about property taxes. No, but your agents can talk about property taxes. So that means the commitment I had made to many of the people who care was to continue to post updates. I had to even take those down. So she, and this was not the judge, this was really the county's attorneys. And I don't know why they decided to hold me over, but the bottom line is, if you were looking for updates, I apologize, I can't do that. The other county attorney, our prosecutor, is leaving office. Thank God. We've seen a massive increase under her time in office in murders, which are, of course, kind of the ultimate crime, so it's the easy statistic to pay attention to. But I believe very firmly that a lot of that relates back to decisions she made where she essentially told her prosecuting team and the police departments that she was not going to prosecute any nonviolent drug offenses.
Yeah.
So when you start not prosecuting small crimes, what's the natural outcome of that? Anybody have kids?
Yep.
Don't do that. And they do it anyway.
Yep.
Don't do that. And they do it anyway. Don't do that. And I'm pointing at you. You're not my kid.
I don't do anything. What'd you say?
But you know, if you tell somebody that something's against the rules and then there's no consequences, then the next thing that's against the rules, like maybe smashing a car window so you can get money for drugs, and then there's no consequences for that. And then maybe it's, well, somebody noticed me breaking a window to get money for drugs and there was no consequences, and now the person that noticed me, I'm gonna maybe smack them upside the head and assault them. Again, very limited consequences, all the way to the point where we are now is that crime is just rampant. It's underreported. The FBI, actually, under this administration, has decided that it's voluntary for police departments to report, used to be mandatory, and then they claim victory. Look, crime is down. Oh my gosh. You mean if you just don't tell us about the crime, then crime is down? Anybody here think crime is down?
Absolutely not.
No. So I bring up the prosecutor to say somebody who couldn't be here tonight. She was with me in Independence, trying to fight the fight there. Tracy Chappelle is running for prosecutor. She is the candidate. And the reason I bring up the history of the existing prosecutor is that the people that are potentially running against her, the kind of leader at this point, is a guy named Gromowski. Well, Gromowski has been in the prosecutor's office. He has worked in the office under Gene Peters Baker. If I work in an office and there's a miscarriage of justice happening every day, and I stay silent, I am complicit.
Yep.
That's right.
In my mind, he has disqualified himself.
Yep.
So we're going to spend the next few weeks watching the Democrats destroy each other in that particular race with race and identity politics, because one of the candidates is a white guy and two other candidates are not. And that's been the big topic of discussion. How is that? Like the color of the person or the gender of the person is the main thing that they want to focus on. And I'm sorry, but the reality is that the other person that's running is the director of public safety for Kansas City.
That's scary.
Yeah.
You know where she was when the rally shooting happened? She was dancing on a chair three rows behind me. So if she's not disqualified, I don't know who is. So that's two of the three that they've got. I don't know that much about the third, but the bottom line is
Tim Smith candidate.
Tim Smith candidate. There you go. Anybody know who Tim Smith is? Oh, Scott. Scott might know Tim Smith. Anyway, bottom line is we have a great prosecutor candidate and a great opportunity to win, partially because the candidates that the Democrats have to offer have been part of this gaslighting society that pretend that everything's okay when it's not. And all we really need, I don't care if you're DNR, I don't care if you're black, white, Hispanic, purple, whatever color you are, whatever gender you are, be honest, be competent, and strive to do the right thing. And unfortunately, what we're seeing on that prosecutor's race is they don't seem to have one of those handy. So, anyway, I encourage you all, pull for Tracy. Coming back to my race just a little bit, I don't have a primary opponent, but I am actively trying to treat the August primary kind of like a trial run. So, November, for me to win, I'm going to have everything go right. And I only get one shot, but I get a practice run. What that means is that if you'd be so kind and want to help, whether that's spending an hour at a polling location, whether that's taking a sign to a polling location, whether that's just reminding people it's time to vote, I am actively recruiting as many people to help as possible because that's where we win. And I'm not asking you to go out and spend, full-time hours knocking doors. We knocked 2,500 doors, I think, on Saturday between Greenwood, Independence, and north of the river. So people are putting in the work, and if you want to do that, great, thank you. But independent of that, the website is Sean Smith for Mo. That's Sean, S-E-A-N. Anybody here Sean Connery fan? Anybody that thinks that I didn't spell it right could blame my parents. But Sean Smith for, F-O-R, not the number, Mo.com. And just, if you say you're going to volunteer, you can just check a box that says, I want a yard sign, or I want to do this or that. That will put you in our communication channel. This is beyond me personally communicating with each of you. This is, we have to have a machine, and we got to test the machine, and we get one chance, and that's in about 4 weeks in August. So I thank you, and I've got a hat over there for Chuck. Just depends on whether he wants a gray one or a red one, or a white one, sorry. Chuck, you ever wear a hat?
I'll take the gray one.
There you go. So, for the prize of the other hat that Chuck didn't want, what's going to be the outcome of the property tax trial? Who's got the best answer? Raise a hand.
They'll do nothing.
We win?
There you go. We win.
we win.
How's that for simple, right? We just want to win. We have to.
Yeah.
When people have broken the law, we have to have somebody willing to stand up and say no. And frankly, I think we have a great shot. I actually don't know at all what has happened in the trial, because as a witness, I'm not allowed to sit through the trial. I'm not even allowed to read about it. But I am, and you want to talk about frustrating, I spent 18 months of my life focused on getting us a win, and then I don't get to watch the actual game. So, anyway, someday I will know what happened, and in the meantime, I just will say, pray for a win, because the number of people that have been harmed out of this is just astronomical.
Yeah.
This is destructive to our local economy, our local community, our senior community, poor people. Like, you could just stratify and think, we're just kicking everybody in the teeth with this thing, and it has to get fixed. And if it doesn't get fixed this time, I'm afraid that people are just gonna vacate this area.
Yep.
And we're gonna be left with a ghost town.
Yep.
Anyway, so pray for the win. Thank you. Looking good, Chuck.
Thanks, buddy. If you don't have a Sean Smith sign or a Tracy Chapel sign or Joe Nicole, just grab it on your way out. They want to get rid of their signs, they want to put them in the yard. Signs at the headquarters on 40 Highway in Blue Springs.
Trump signs for $10.
Trump signs for $10. Yeah, it's a donation. So I've asked Rick Bratton to speak tonight also. Rick covers Cass County and Johnson County. Am I right, Rick?
Yes.
And Bates County. It's a little bit south of here and a little bit east of here. But guess
Bates,
what?
good.
A lot of us in here know people or live there that can make a difference in Rick's election also. Rick, you want to talk to the group for a few minutes?
Well, good evening. Thank you all for coming this evening. It's amazing to see a bunch of amazing patriots coming out when you could be enjoying and doing anything and enjoying your freedom and liberty. Instead, you're here wanting to get involved and wanting to know what in the world you can do to bring America and this country and this state back, literally from the brink. Who feels that we are on the brink as a nation?
Yep. Oh, yeah.
Well, if you're not raising your hand, folks, you better really get involved and start paying attention. Because, folks, we are really on the brink. I know there's a lot going on. But I'm State Senator Rick Bratton. I know you had Bill Eigel here, a true dear friend of mine. He's a member of the Missouri Freedom Caucus. I'm the chairman of the Missouri Freedom Caucus. Absolutely. You know, the Missouri Freedom Caucus and the Freedom Caucus in general gets a lot of hate and discontent, and you're obstructionist and you want to just burn the place down. Folks, that's not what we want to do. We just want to do what we've promised you we're going to do. We're going to protect your liberty, your freedom, and your rights, and embody what our founders wanted for this nation. That's what we want to do, and we're going against an enemy and people, even within our own party, that don't want to do those things. So when people are the antithesis of everything that you voted for them to go down to Jeff City, go down to Washington, and they're doing the exact opposite, what do you want us to do? Do you want us to go along to get along? No. Well, that's exactly what the swamp wants us to do. Folks, when we have illegal immigration, we have the levels of taxation, we have everything going wrong in this nation. Now is not the time to go along, get along, and play nice with people who are hell-bent on destroying this nation. Right. I'm telling you, folks, it's real. The state of Missouri is in a terrible situation, and it's been done by a majority rule of Republican rule. Supermajority, in fact. I mean, we're 24 Republicans out of 34 in the state Senate. I don't even know what the number is in the House, but a massive supermajority in the House. Yet, just last year, did you know that the Missouri Democrat Party put out a statement saying that this was the best year we've ever seen as a Democrat Party in this state? Wow. We couldn't have done better ourselves if we were in control and had supermajorities. That was a statement from the Missouri Democratic Party last year. That's what we're up against, folks. And that's why it's so incumbent upon us, and you especially, to get involved. It's great to come to these meetings, but I would love to see, and I do see a lot of your faces, coming down to the Capitol. It's a 2-hour drive, but come down and see the nonsense and the chaos that's going on. Tomorrow, do you guys know what tomorrow marks? It's July 2nd tomorrow. Actually, did you know that's when the Declaration of Independence was actually signed and actually enacted?
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know that. They think July 4th because it does state it on our declaration. But what does our declaration enshrine? That your rights, freedoms, and liberties, your life, liberty, your property, are the things in which government is to protect. I, as an elected official, that is my sole job. Unfortunately, if you talk to most people that are elected to represent you, they don't even know what the essential role of government is as an elected official. They'll tell you, oh, it's to pass a state budget, or it's to pass good stuff, or it's to create jobs. Folks, that's not the role of government. And once the role of government becomes hostile to the ends of protecting your rights, your freedoms, your liberty, if you don't think that this personal property tax and this real property tax is an infringement on your God-given rights, I don't know what is it going to take for us to rise up. I mean, we fought a revolution over a 2% tax on a beverage, folks. I mean, at what level do we have to rise up and take off the blinders? And I'm not trying to sound like a crazy revolutionary, but at what point do we actually start rising up and saying, enough is enough of these psychopaths? They want to tax you into oblivion. They want to take your children, and they want to indoctrinate them, turn them into the good little communists that they want them to be. And then come after you because it's like the Chinese with the black and the red Chinese, that movement where they turn their own children into turning their own families against one another. Completely going against your values and your everything that you instill in your children. That's what our school system, that's what they have done to our children. And if you don't think that's true, just go on a Facebook, watch the interviews on the streets of youth in America today. They can't name 5 states in this United States. They don't even know what the Constitution is.
Can't write cursive.
They can't write cursive. They can't even read. But yet they can name every Kardashian. They can name every single football player and baseball player. But yet they don't know their rights, freedoms, and liberties. But at what point are we going to say enough is enough? I don't know how much time I had. I just came and I started 2 or 3 minutes. I get fired up because, folks, I get in front of people and people are fired up. But they don't know what to do. I'll tell you, get involved. Guess what August 6th is? It's opening day of rhino season, folks. And that's how we're going to take this country back. Because this is how you're going to determine who's representing you. Here in the state of Missouri, I'm sorry, it's not November. That is not our election. It's August 6th. And you get to determine who's fighting for you or who's stabbing you in the back, who's undermining you and taxing you into oblivion.
That's right.
Who's not willing to go against the grain when it comes to your property rights, your personal property. Who's for eliminate? I know Bill brings it up, eliminating personal property tax. And you hear the argument for that, oh my gosh, what are the governments going to do? Well, I can tell you folks, they have so much money, it's out of control. More money than they've ever had in the history of ever, and you've never had less money than you've ever had in your life. And we're worried about whether government has enough money?
Yep.
Life, liberty, property are unalienable. Do you know what that means? That government cannot place a lien on your life or on your liberty. Guess what? But on your property. But yet, can they place a lien on your property? Could you imagine if they passed a life tax on you?
Seems like everything.
That would be crazy. What about a liberty tax? That as long as you're a good little citizen and you're not paying your tax, you can have your liberty. That would sound pretty crazy. But yet when it comes to our property, God, that is a sinful thing. God has allowed us, and that is, God gives us the capability of ownership. Again, we fought a revolution because of lords of a foreign country that refused the right of ownership.
Yeah.
I know, I can keep going. I wish I could keep going.
Craig, the closer I get to you,
I was waiting for a can to come out before we all
I think
fell.
everybody knows the closer I get.
But folks, I just want to kind of invigorate. You know, now is not the time to disappear or to get defeated. We can and we will win. A united minority, a united force, no matter how small, is infinitely better than this big, massive movement that we think is as big as it is. No, the left is not as big as they are. They're actually a very small vocal minority. You're the people. We, the people, are the majority.
That's right.
Well, we got to stop. I hate the saying, awake the sleeping giant. Doggone it, when are we going to wake up?
Really?
Yeah.
What is it going to take to wake people up?
Where's the line?
Who has to be taken from your home? Martin Niemöller, a pastor in Germany, and it's written when you walk outside of the Holocaust Museum. At first they came for the communists, and I said nothing. Then they came for the socialists. Then they came for the trade workers. And then he goes on. And then they came for me, and nobody was left standing. Why? Because they were already gone. Doggone it, we have got to start fighting and stop worrying about what other people think about us.
That's
because
right.
we stayed up for what's right. Millions of Americans have shed their blood for this amazing nation, and God shed his blood to give us this capability for this amazing nation, and he has blessed us. But don't allow the blessing of freedom and liberty be the captivity that keeps us from standing up and saying enough is enough.
Yeah.
And now is our time. Now is our time to let the left know that we're in charge. We, the people, are not going to go down quietly, and we're going to take this country back. And it all hinges upon you and your involvement. So thank you for letting me speak. I know I'm not Jackson County, but God bless you. Get involved and get out there on August 6th. Thank you, guys.
Hey, anybody in the room know anybody that lives in Cass County? Raise your hand.
Oh, I do.
Anybody in the room that knows anybody that lives in Jackson County or Johnson County east of here? Raise your hand. How about Bates County? Anybody know anybody that lives in Bates County? So what do we got to do?
Communicate.
We got to tell everybody that we know that lives in those counties to vote for Rick Bratton. That's right. We have got to be vocal. And he said stand up and not put up with it anymore. We got to be vocal. You know, just the way it goes. You know, we the people started here, right here. We the people of Jackson County. And I've talked to people. I said, you know, I'd like to have another We the People. And friends of mine started one in Johnson County. They meet down in Warrensburg. And they've got like 100 people that meet in Warrensburg. And then a few months ago, We the People of Cass County opened up.
So, yes, Matt Gobin is our Chuck Quisenberry of Cass County. He's a young guy, early 50s. That's young to me. That was a few windows back.
You gonna introduce yourself?
Oh, sorry. I'm Melissa Thomas. I'm the chair of the Cass County Republican Committee for, 38 more days? Because I will be losing my chair. I will likely lose my seat because our county government has called an all-out assault against the grassroots in Cass County. And so they have gotten county employees to file against us, their wives. They've even got 2 or 3 Democrats who filed for the Central Committee. So in response to that, we had 2 or 3
conservative groups in the county who the leaders got together and decided that we would be stronger as one group than three separate ones. And we came here and Matt talked to Chuck, and we went to Johnson County and talked to Jerry Ellis and Rachel Gifford. And we officially started our Facebook page. I should have brought you a business card. We have business cards now. We are meeting the second Thursday of the month at the Real Life Assembly of God Church in Peculiar, Missouri, 7 o'clock, except July, because we are on door knocking for July. And there's about, well, at the June meeting, there was about 60 people. So we're really hopeful that in the next 2 years, we can pull in about 300 people. We're gonna have to find a place. We may have to come here to meet.
That's fine. We got 4,600 people in our We the People of Jackson County on our Facebook page.
Oh, that's awesome.
We've got, we got a couple of hundred people that meet here on a regular basis. But they can do the same thing, maybe even more in Peculiar, Missouri. So we start spreading the word. If you know someone that lives up in Clay County that wants to start a group, let me know. Let's get a movement going. Let's do it.
And everybody who raised their hands with friends in Cass and Bates, send them my way.
Right. And I will have her post on We the People of Jackson County, that information, if you would, please.
I will gladly.
And then I'll feature it up above, so I appreciate you. Thank you. How in the world do we accomplish as much as we accomplish in 2 hours? How do we do it? We have people that are energetic. We have people that are seeing the big picture. The big picture that's what it's all about. We have got to make a difference. And do me a favor. Come on up if you don't mind. The election's coming up in August. I don't imagine there'll be a whole lot of politicians here the first Monday of the month. So take everything off the tables, if you would, and spread the word real quickly.
Thank you, isn't this great? I'm Carol Borgers, and if you're a little bit confused when it comes to district numbers and all the different levels of government and who am I voting for, what district am I in, this is a little tool that will help you. It leads you to the websites and where you can find out how to get your sample ballot. Please tell other people who are confused too that all they have to do is go to the website mentioned on here. You can get your sample ballot and see who you can vote for. And then it also has Republican key websites to go to that you can get updates on, like meet and greets. If it's going to be posted on the Jackson County, Missouri website, if somebody tells our chairman, he'll put it on there. So then you'll get an email that lets you know that there's going to be a meet and greet, gives you a chance to go see your candidate. So it's on the table over there.
Okay. That's what I wanted to say. It's on the table over here. So you can pick up one of those sheets and educate
So this is really important. So Lori Clark, nurse practitioner here, got a call from one of our freedom fighters in Cass County last week asking about, did we know anything about information about kids going to the health department, getting shots and getting harassed, getting called every day? Why aren't your kids getting all the vaccinations that they're supposed to have, blah, blah, blah. She was concerned, freaked out, thinking that DFS is gonna come take her children. So whoever is the leader of the people of Cass County, get on that. I will get in touch with you, give you the names of the doctor that reached out to me. And for Jackson County, for every county, call your local health department and ask them what are they doing. Okay, you have a freedom of your choice. You have to protect your children. Why are they wanting your children to have all of these shots? Why are they calling every day asking why your children haven't had the shots? That should be illegal. Why? What are we doing here? So I wanted y'all to know, because school's gonna be coming up. If you want a tetanus shot, go get a tetanus shot. You don't have to have all those ABC shots when we don't know what's in it. That's your.
You guys are awesome. It's not me, the people. It's we the people. That's right. Every one every one of you can make a difference. You just gotta stand up, and you gotta talk to people, and you gotta, call people, text people, whatever you do. But this group right here has made a difference in school boards. We've made a difference in local elections, and we're gonna continue to grow. There is no doubt in my mind, we're gonna continue to grow. I love each and every one of you. Be safe out there. Talk to you later.